Hi, guys. Welcome to day 6 of Hollywood Week at Robin Hood Diaries here. No Holds Barred TV. As promoted, I am going to be covering preparation, role preparation, character acting preparation. Not necessarily for cold readings. I'm going to dive into cold reading prep and the dynamics around cold readings tomorrow. But today is about a lot about prep. And guess what? A bit of a surprise tonight's show, to tonight's show. It's not going to be just me blabbing about how to prep. It's going to be a lot of what I have observed stars on sets doing to prepare. So it ain't just me. So let's dive deep, as usual. Talk a little bit about prep. A couple of things that I find important. Again, this is not necessarily prepping a cold reading. That's a little bit more fast and dirty. This is a little bit more measured because it would be about, preparing on a set or preparing for a movie, I don't know, screen tests, things like that, because screen test is not a callback. Callback is not a callback, is not a screen test. A regular old audition, a cold reading is way different than a second callback, a screen test. Then we're back into less cold reading prep and more like this overarching kind of foundational prep for performing. So, little bit about my my signature technique, which is this not a mishmash of what I learned from Lee or any of the other teachers that I've been with. Too many teachers. That's part of the problem. Can be. Is that we for role prep, there's things such as like character work that again, my method is more about power washing your brain and just maybe putting some elements in there to work with, rather than telling you traditional methods out of the classic method, which would be you need to have an objective in the scene. You need to want something from the other actor, or something out of the scene. You have an objective to get out of the scene. Well, okay. I mean, I don't think that way. I don't have an objective every time I talk to somebody, but if, like I said, if it works for you, then go for it. A lot of the other stuff, again, a lot of sense memory, which is supposed to kind of bring you into the character, bring you into the situation, and sort of dial you down and sort of get you, kind of in the space you need to be, relaxation or whatever. Well, you know what? I really don't believe in that much relaxation in preparing for a role because, yeah, I guess you have to be grounded and stuff. But I certainly don't want to be too relaxed when I'm like needing to be on my game, maybe winning an Oscar, right? So, few of the things that I, sort of emphasize with prep is first of all, you have to do character work. You have to do a backstory. My method is kind of easy breezy in a way in that it doesn't employ a lot of exercises and techniques per se. But some of the foundational ones, like, I'm not telling you to just go in and be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Obviously you have a character to play, and obviously the director and everyone else is going to want you to be in character. You were hired to play David Jones, so you're not just going to be like flying in, all centered and ready and just kind of doing Sean or doing David. Well, no, there's more to it than that. Again, backstory. So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but basically it's sort of nailing down the character. But again, you are your own best acting teacher. Remember, it's like going to the doctor. If it doesn't feel right, get another doctor, or that something is up. Please don't go years with a technique or method that does not feel right for you, that is not getting you work, does not feel, it just doesn't, you're just not feeling it. and it doesn't seem effective. And anytime you feel you have too much stuff being crammed into your head when it comes to acting or particularly prep, man, you need to like regroup. You can't function with too many method shit juggling around in your brain. It's just not going to be effective. Too much method is dangerous. Too much prep is dangerous, in my opinion. A lot of the too muches and a lot of the many, many, many's in terms of methods and elements and exercises and things, it's really hard to kind of come from a just kind of centered in the moment, approach when you are focusing on, do I have an objective? Who am I personalizing in my life this person to actually be? So it seems more relatable. More stuff jumbling around in there. So I get the character work out of the way with the performer, to the point where I may even have you write a story. Write me an essay about your character. Uh, Tear a page out of your character's diary for me. Write it. Read it. I will have actors read the phone book as their character to take them away from line readings, which is me like preparing, like, I'm really going to put emphasis on this line because this is the key part of the scene. No. If you don't authentically emphasize that line or whatever, and it goes quiet or it goes hushed or it goes loud or whatever, that is what the character's doing. Please don't ever like plan anything. That is the worst. Any director, anyone tells you, now when you say this, I want you to say it like, or whatever. Here, take Olivia de Havilland's advice, the old actress, and then run with it, and then let's get back to the stars. Olivia de Havilland famously once said about directors and acting. She always said, well, not always, but one of her famous quips was, allow the director to come, and I'm paraphrasing, and do all the directory stuff and tell you, I want you to go in this direction with the character and yada, 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 yada. And she would say, agree, acknowledge, I'm going to do that. And then go do whatever the F you want. Because he's probably not going to notice anyway. Everyone just wants to have credit for whatever. So, Hollywood star prep. Okay, so if you think that intensive prep in between scenes and on the set. Now, I'm not talking about Jessica Lange playing Frances Farmer. Obviously, you have to go half psycho for that part and stay in character religiously. Again, a little bit different when it comes to that. But we're not all the star of the film playing Frances Farmer, and so it's not always, sometimes they don't want you to upstage a star. So, not in talent, but anyway. So, this is what I've observed over the years in terms of prep, at preparing to perform as an actor, etc. Is that a lot of prep, I'm not seeing it with the movie stars. All those big actors that you're seeing that I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I'm not seeing a lot of prep. I'm not seeing them building the pyramids of Giza to get through the next scene. This is what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm seeing actors, more than one, more than two, who rely very heavily on coaching. So I'll give you an example. I'm not one to mince words. When I was working on For Keeps in 1988, co-starring with Molly Ringwald, there was the lead actor who played the love interest of Molly Ringwald, Randall Batinkoff. Hi, Randall. Randall, at least on this film, I can't speak for him on other films, but Randall on this film absolutely, Randall, would not pass gas without consulting his acting coach. She was always there. Now I know we've heard the same stories about Marilyn Monroe and Anna Strasberg and needing to be coached through every word in between everything. Ooh, I don't know, guys. Anyway, so there's the stars that I've worked with that I have seen, like Randall, who literally in between every scene, I mean, I'm telling you guys, the minute every scene stopped, it was fly over to the acting coach, go over it, go behind the wall, hushed tones over by the stairwell, and then back into the scene. Whoa, that's not what I'm seeing with the stars. And I've seen that a lot. Not a lot, but I've seen that where people hinge every move on a coaching, on a coach, on what they have prepared with somebody to emphasize, to whatever during that scene. Well, I'm not seeing the same thing with movie stars, kids. I'm really not. So actors like Randall, who rely so heavily on coaching in between, outside, left and right, have the coach be there to jump in and I don't know what, adjust what they just did or something, then how is it organic? How is it organic? What I'm seeing is, okay, let's go down the line. Liz Montgomery, Marlon Brando, let's go down from there. In terms, again, I'm not name dropping. These are people that I've worked with, and this is what I'm seeing in terms of established movie stars doing preparation and staying in character and at every turn preparing for the next word or scene. I'm not seeing that with the movie stars. What I'm seeing is Liz Montgomery, who I worked with on one miniseries and then another movie. Nothing. Needlepoint, needlepoint, visiting, whatever. Marlon Brando, when I was on the set of Missouri Breaks with him shooting on location, just off to himself, talking to himself in between scenes. No running around. I mean, he's Brando. He's the king. I mean, whatever he does is, whatever. But again, off to the side, walking, almost pacing and talking to himself. I'm sure maybe the lines or maybe character work. I don't know. Melissa Gilbert, that I worked with quite extensively on one episode of Little House on the Prairie. Again, no major prep. I would see her read in between. Like, I mean, I'm sure she didn't do it all the time, but she would be reading. So we got Brando doing not much of anything. We've got Liz Montgomery not doing much prep, obvious prep. We have Melissa Gilbert who's reading. I'm seeing. I worked with her for an entire week at least. Jimmy McNichol, of all people, the heartthrob from the 70s and 80s, he, in between every word, would just play his guitar. Now, he's not, Brando, but again, no prep, no in between rushing around looking at lines. He would just go and start playing his guitar. Guess what? That's probably his prep. Okay? That's not just, that could be his prep. So we want to talk about stars additionally that I'm seeing no prep, no in between, like we've discussed, this scrambling around, trying to get back into character and stay in character and do this and do that. I'm not seeing that with Jane Fonda. Didn't see any of that. George Siegel that I've worked with, nothing. No, just in the other room, relaxing, unwinding. Elizabeth Montgomery, we've said, nothing. Olivia Newton-John, nothing. Linda Carter that I've worked with in between scenes. I worked with her on a film, not just that variety show that I did with her. Nothing. Friendliness, not in and out of character, nothing. Eileen Heckert, a famous old actress that I worked with. Nothing. No prep in between. Friendly nothingness. Now, how she fell back into her character or what work she did immediately before the scene, I don't know. Ray Bolger, the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, I worked with him. No prep in between, before, during, or after. Bruce Dern, no prep, worked with him. Don't see a lot of prep in between scenes there. Lee Remick, famous actress. No prep. I'm not seeing a lot of deep diving into character in between scenes and things like that. So again, all of these stars making it look so effortless and having this effortlessness in between scenes, in between takes, in between, from here to there. So I mean, if every star, all these big stars that I've worked with, I'm not seeing a lot of, scampering around, prepping. Yeah, they're established stars, but wouldn't you think that they wouldn't just completely stop using their method? No, there's something else going on there that they have going that's, you know, working for them. That's not obviously, kind of flailing around prepping or hiding like Randall, poor thing, around the corner with his coach furiously whispering about, his next syllable. So I'm not seeing it with the established stars. I'm not seeing it, but I'm seeing this again. I started seeing, and they were younger and younger stars. And it was further and further as I went into like the later 80s. I saw a lot of this like prep fury. But then again, I'm working with Jimmy McNichol. We're hanging out. He's playing guitar in between scenes. I'm working with Melissa Gilbert. She's practically too busy reading and whatever. Randall, again, is off with his coach, losing it. I mean, my God, I couldn't believe it. Every time I turned around, he was with his coach, whatever. Brando, again, like I said, effortless. Little chit chat off by himself, back in the scene. Liz Montgomery, I can go down the line. The stars that I've worked with and that I've known, mostly that I've worked with, most of the stars I know I've worked with, unless I met them through another big star, I'm not seeing it. So, what that is telling me, sort of bringing it back around, is that there's minimal obvious prep going on with the big stars, with the established stars. I mean, I'll name you a dozen. I just did. Literally. So, I focus and believe in, and perhaps these stars are employing forms of very basic centering exercises of sorts, give or take an exercise. First of all, don't be doing exercises in between, my humble opinion, between every syllable. Once you get centered and you get into the character being the authentic you that has established a full, detailed backstory. Remember a couple episodes I said, paint me a picture of what the authentic you is, so we know every detail of it. Well, you kind of do that then with your character. You do it with yourself, you get that stuff embedded, that MO, and then you dive into characters, you create lovely creative backstories and histories, whatever you want to call it, on that character that compels that character to do and say and be the things that character is. So you come functionally from a centered place that has a deep backstory, and then you just kind of sort of wake up and start doing the character. I don't believe in a lot of prep, you guys. I'm not seeing it with the big stars. I'm not seeing it with the acting. Like I said, Jane Fonda, George Segal, Liz Montgomery, Olivia Newton-John, Linda Carter, Ray Bolger, Eileen Hecker, Bruce Dern, Lee Remick. I'm not seeing the prep. I'm not seeing this somersaults of prep, of acting prep, of centering and relaxing and looking and then you get into areas of I want to say it differently this time or whatever. No, if you don't come from your authentic place based in the backstory of your character and then have just a few little things jingling around in your pocket to get you centered, I don't know. I hope it works for you because my focus, like I said, is backstory, getting centered very quickly and easily. I give technique for like almost instant centering by use of keywords, recall, conditioning, and keeping things very, very simple, like 3 things in a box, focusing on that. I'm not going to like go too much further with my technique until tomorrow when we go into cold reading. So again, for me, it's character work, knowing what you're working with creatively so it excites you, what parts of that character compel you one way or the other. Are they miserable? What parts of the miserable character are you going to paint for yourself to make it work? Just look at a painting of like the character that you've illustrated and go off that. Don't be too literal. Don't be too literal with your work. I'm supposed to be this. It says I'm to do this or feel that way. Don't be literal, guys. Come from your organic place that is centered with very simple exercise or two, and then work that authenticism uh, through the character backstory that you have embedded in your head. And then guess what? Again, I've talked about this before. I want you to power wash your brain, both before you start studying with the right person, even if it's not me or whoever that feels good, right for you. Once you get in front of that camera and you start performing, if your brain isn't power washed of everything that you've been trying to stick in it, then you're going to be there very self-conscious, grabbing at different methods and exercises midstream, trying to stay focused. Who does that? Who acts like that? Who lives like that? Like I said yesterday, we talk, we listen, and we think. It really is not more complicated than that, other than coming from within a character that you've sort of embedded in your head in a way that works for you. And the trick is really to embed with your method, with your studying, with your way in between times, not between the director's chair and the camera and the craft table. So, keep it simple. That whole thing, that kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the keep it simple, stupid part. So, and then, of course, then there's the working with the fourth wall, which we talked about yesterday, which is after the centering, after the backstory, after the keywords and your little picture and just these few things. Then I throw you into a scenario where there's only four walls. There's nothing going on around you, and that again gets into technique that is not it's different. Okay, it's not your typical sort of centering, grounding exercises. It's way different than anything you've probably ever heard. So, I hope I've covered everything. The surprise that we were going to be talking about movie stars today and not just me blabbing on about preparing to do a scene or a role. And, we're keeping it in a nice clip today. So let's wrap things up. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It'll be the last day of Hollywood Week for us here at No Holds Barred TV. Robin Hood Diaries will resume on Monday with the usual topic to topic surfing all over my life, one different from the next. And then I have a few irons in the fire in terms of 6 degree separation chats, but I'd like to do like a mini marathon of interviews. So I was thinking maybe next week we could do like 3 nights in a row of interviews of 6 degree chats and see how that goes. Another weekend kind of themed thing. Okay, everyone, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for putting up with me and all my blabber. And I hope it helps. If you're an actor, if you know an actor, if you live with an actor, if you have a roommate who's an actor, if your dad's an actor, if your mom's an actor, or if you just like listening about acting stuff and knowing kind of tidbits about what people do within that context under that subject line with my topic for that evening. So I like to give little surprises. So that's it. We're done. And I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, the little clips and all kinds of teasers and previews in between. Okay? Take care wherever you are, whatever time it is. Be good to yourself. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Bye.